The Cavaliers haven't made the playoffs in 7 years. But after LeBron James joined the team in 2003, they were able to break that streak in just 2 seasons. Before Steph Curry joined the Warriors, they only made the playoffs once in the 2000s. After he got drafted, they only missed the playoffs 4 times in the next decade. And for the Minnesota Timberwolves, when they drafted a certain player in 2020, they went from no playoff appearances in the last decade and a half to being legitimate contenders the 3 seasons he's been there. And we're talking about no one else but the kid who's been dubbed the Michael Jordan of this generation. Ladies and gentlemen,
the superstar freshman put on a show. Edwards downhill, a little circus move. What a shot by Anthony Edwards.
Anthony Edwards. As much as Edwards has lit the NBA scene quickly with his debut, some legends are convinced he's the guy the hype says he is. One legend who's been vocal about his displeasure with Edwards is the backboard breaker, Shaquille O'Neal. Was Shaq not watching this dude? I mean, it could be either that or he knew something we didn't, or he was just hating on this little kid. But you can't blame him. I mean, if a young chap was dunking on my former team like this, I'd consider it treason to say kind words about him. Perhaps Shaq really had doubts about Anthony Edwards' size of his shoes. Or maybe Shaq had a point because he wasn't alone on the Anthony Edwards hate train. Steve Kerr was on it as well. He wasn't good enough to be drafted by the Warriors? Damn! I know they call him Ant-Man, but you don't have to walk all over his ego like that. But again, this might be a case of high standards and high expectations. I mean, the Warriors are the most successful team in the last 2 decades, if we're being honest. And coaching the Splash Brothers, as well as KD and others, makes you look at other players differently. But here's the one thing Kerr didn't know about the NBA's Ant-Man. Just like the Marvel hero, he can rise to the occasion and be as big as the challenge ahead of him. Edwards goes ballistic every time he plays the Warriors. Maybe that's his way of replying to Steve Kerr's comments about him. This dude takes things personally, just like somebody we all knew from a few decades ago. And in the 2024 season matches between the Warriors and the Timberwolves, not only did Edwards put up insane numbers against them every time, and now he's currently on track to bringing home Minnesota's first NBA championship. And I'll tell you this, Steve Kerr is probably cussing watching Edwards and the Timberwolves advance further than them. These old heads need to take a break from sending jabs at the new school. Their word of mouth is making them look dumb as Edwards proves them wrong with every play. Kerr hasn't taken his comments back, but Shaq has. It's okay, Shaq, we get it. You just weren't familiar with the kid's game, and it's good to see you caught on eventually. But there are some legends who already knew that Ant-Man was special. Legends like Reggie Miller. I guess his range isn't just for shots from deep, but also talent before it blossoms. Because back when Edwards was still a rookie, Reggie Miller said he's the next coming. And if I didn't know any better, I would say this was a prophecy. And Edwards can't exactly be the next LeBron since they're playing together. And there's really one GOAT that Edwards constantly gets compared to. Reggie, next time please be a little more direct. Even if you get clowned on for such a take, it's looking like you'll have the last laugh if Edwards continues balling like this. Even if some people want to call Reggie Miller crazy for saying this, then he's not the only one who's probably gone nuts. Because if we're calling Reggie Miller crazy, we're also going to have to call out Kevin Garnett for wilding. Hey, you know what they say, real recognizes real. But with the way Paul Pierce reacted, I can tell he didn't agree. Pretty ironic for someone nicknamed The Truth not to agree with your honest opinion. Heck, I would have even said that Kevin Garnett was only saying those things about Anthony Edwards because he was playing for the Wolves. If he'd have the same view about Ant-Man if he played in another city is something I wouldn't know. But there's one person who's hardly ever biased and mostly on the correct side of things and thinks that Ant-Man is actually that guy. We're talking about ESPN's favorite personality, Stephen A. Smith. You gotta give him credit, he rarely misses with his takes. And what exactly does he have to say about Minnesota's star man? Well, take a listen.
Look at, oh yes, now here it is. This is when he said to Magic, what you want me to do? Look at him, look at him, look at him, look at him. That right there. See what I'm saying? When you know it's on like that, I mean, what you supposed to do?
Even if you want to disagree that Edwards doesn't have the same skills as Jordan, one thing he's proven time and time again is that the mentality and mindset he's carried is reminiscent of a prime Michael Jordan. Anthony Edwards is fearless. If he sees smoke, he's not ducking, and if he says something, he stands on business. I mean, take a look at things between him and his childhood idol, Kevin Durant. Ant literally idolizes this man, but that's the reason he wants to be better than him. If I was Kevin Durant, I don't know if I should feel flattered or threatened. But hey, it's just talk. Or is it? Oh yes, Ant meant everything he said, and he wasn't stopping at Kevin Durant. He even went at the king. That's right, this man isn't afraid to get at anybody. He's even aiming for the throne. And the fact that missing out on playing against the toughest players upsets him, showing the level of hunger and dedication he has. He's not like his peers. He's no tick-tocking or model-chasing hooper. Oh no. He's built like he's not even from this era, almost as if a reincarnation of someone we've seen play before. Ant feels he can go toe-to-toe with him. Whoa. Ant, you're starting to get a little ahead of yourself there, boy. There's a lot of balls right there, but hey, there's a thin line between self-belief and cockiness. And if you're still in doubt that the Ant-Man is on the path of inevitable greatness, maybe the word of someone who's young enough to play with him but old enough to give him wisdom will sway your opinion. Pat sure does have deep insight of the game, not just when it comes to being an absolute menace. They've even played together, so Pat knows firsthand what an asset Edwards was to the team. At 22, he's a two-time All-Star. Leading the Timberwolves to the top of the league and a playoff sweep over the Suns is just the start for him. Legends see greatness in him. Maybe not MJ yet, but his confidence, work ethic, and ever-expanding skill set spell a dominant future. But there's also something most people don't know, that there's a fun side to Edwards. If you don't believe me, two NBA stars have weighed in on his character. First, Indiana Pacers' Tyrese Halliburton, known for his sharp shooting and quick-witted passing, had this to say.
Like, exactly what you guys see on Twitter and social media all the time. That is him. Like, he is that, like,
personality.
Bro, I even got to tell this story yet. Like, so we remember Dame and Donovan just kept shooting from half court. Yep. He just kept shooting from half court. Me and Ant sitting on the bench because we ain't even really play that much like that. We was just along for the ride at that point. But Dame pulled up from like probably 3 steps behind the logo. Ant looked at me. Did he hit you with the ooh, ah? Ant looked at me. He said, he shot that bitch from Yucatan. I said, Yucatan? I said, what did you just say? He's like, Yucatan. I said, is that a real place? He's like, nah, that's how far that bitch was. I said, what? That's how far that bitch was. Yucatan.
Meanwhile, Los Angeles Clippers' Paul George, a seasoned veteran and 8-time All-Star, offered a more measured assessment of who Ant-Man really is in person.
Do you remember when Coach Malone was drawing up the first play?
Yeah.
Or he was drawing up a play with Ant in it, right? Funny as shit. He drawing up a play. Coach Malone drawing up a play, and I think like Bron, Ant Edwards. I know them two was in the game for sure. I can't remember who else was, but he drawing up a play. And it was for Ant to throw a lob. And Ant was like, nah, coach, nah. I'm gonna keep it 100.
He's like, I'll do that.
That bitch gonna go over the backboard. I don't throw lobs.
Like, you don't want me to
I don't throw lobs. I don't know how to throw lobs, coach. Have somebody else do that.
As the conversation continues, one thing is clear. Anthony Edwards is a force to be reckoned with. Whether he's drawing comparisons to Michael Jordan or earning praise from his peers, Ant-Man is making a name for himself in the NBA. And with his sights set on the top, it's only a matter of time before he reaches new heights.